I'll tell you about this mug very soon, but it's my new favorite. Cheers. Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper. Today, I'm going to talk to you about somebody else's channel and about a readathon that she's hosting coming up. I've talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to share with you what I'm going to read for the Nevermore readathon hosted by Kat at Kat's Novel Adventures. I am a new big fan of Kat. And as you know, if you've watched my channel, we're going to co-host the Mardi Gras Readathon in January through February as well for Mardi Gras season. But in the meantime, Kat's also hosting her own readathon, which is a Poe readathon called Nevermore, as I said. And I am so excited about this because I've been a fan of Edgar Allan Poe since I was a very young girl, as Kat has been as well. She notes in her release video about the readathon. I'll post a link to that video in the description area below. But what I want to share with you today is what I'm going to read for the Nevermore readathon, and I'm going to share with you just a little bit about what you could do to participate if you should choose to do so. So let me share with you first my find. So this is 18 Best Short Stories by Edgar Allan Poe, which is edited by Vincent Price and Chandler Brossard, an introduction by Vincent Price. You may be thinking, gosh, that has to be old, and you were right. When we lost everything in a storm and all of our books included, I did have a weird box of books in my attic that did survive, and they were books from my childhood. And this was one that my sisters had given me when I was very young because they introduced me to Poe when I was very young. And so I've had this for a really, really long time. It was published in 1965. This will be part of what I read for the readathon. So the requirements for the readathon are very easy. You just read something by Poe. Just one thing. You don't have to read anything major. It could be a poem. It could be The Raven. It could be a short story. It could be a retelling of a Poe short story or a poem. It could be you could watch a movie or a show adaptation from Poe's work. Anything related to Poe that you choose to do during this readathon is absolutely fine. You know, there are no readathon police. I don't know if you knew that, but nobody's going to come after you if you don't do anything. But I have a great plan ahead for myself. I'm really excited about this. The readathon goes from January 19th to January 25th, so it's a week long. It's a short one, hence the one prompt. There is a group read, which is there's two short stories that you could read for the group read, The Black Cat and The Telltale Heart. Now, those are two of my favorites, and I'll probably reread them because, again, they're very, very short and it's very, very easy, and they're both in this little book, not surprisingly. There's another one, though, that I might read for this readathon because I've never read it. And well, if I did read it, I don't remember. Let's just say that. And that is, let me find it, The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar or Valdemar. I liked the first line as I was kind of browsing through this, and I was looking at some of the things that I have read before. But the first line of this one is, "Of course, I shall not pretend to consider it any matter for wonder that the extraordinary case of M. Valdemar has excited discussion." One of my all-time favorite works by Edgar Allan Poe is The Fall of the House of Usher. And I love this story, even though it is so deep and so melancholy. And of course it's macabre, but it's also sad. It follows a man who is speaking to his friend about the death of his sister. And so it's just always been, to me, it's been a favorite. I'm not sure why. For that reason, I have been for years seeking out retellings or novels or movies that are similar to The Fall of the House of Usher. So one that I'm going to recommend to you is a small, short read. You could absolutely do it. I think I read it in one day. And that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This was a book I read this last year in March, I think, and it is one that has really stuck with me. It was not a five-star read for me, but it was very, very well done, I would say. It does follow the story, and it does unfold it in a way that I really enjoyed. This was my first read by T. Kingfisher, so I later picked up another one, and I won't go into that, but this was definitely my favorite so far, and I will read another work by this author. I really enjoyed that, and I recommend that you pick it up if you're looking for something that is not written by Poe, but that is a Poe retelling. Also, I watched last year The Fall of the House of Usher, the Netflix retelling by Mike Flanagan as the producer and the writer of that. I am a big fan of Mike Flanagan's. Not everyone is, but I am. I love the work that he's done in these retellings of classic horror stories, but he really opens them up in a whole new way. And they're obviously all modern retellings, so they're very different. This one is also, though, very different because it isn't following necessarily this plot, and it also adds in a number of other characters, and it brings in some other elements of other Poe stories. I was just like, I watched this adaptation while I was dog sitting for my daughter in the city, and they were away for the weekend, and I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. And I'm so grateful that I picked it that day. It was just the perfect way to spend a weekend at home with my snuggling with my furry grandchildren. I do, though, think I want to rewatch that because I binge watched it. And the first time I watched something, experiencing it for the first time is like I'm just sort of engrossed in it and taking it in as sort of like I'm drinking it, eating it, just like constantly focused on, oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is new. Oh, what happened just there? When I watch it the second time, I am reflecting more on the nuances of it, on what he brought forward from some of the other Poe work, what he brought forward in other ways, what it reminds me of. I will say that Mike Flanagan, to me, has some of the most beautiful lines in these very tragic shows that he's adapted for Netflix that stay with me forever. I probably posted some on Facebook when I was watching The Fall of the House of Usher because it just touches your heart. All of them touch your heart. While they are based on horror and they're pretty horrific in many, many ways, and they're pretty, they're really just, if you love horror, I think they're fantastic. But they're also very well developed characters, very human experiences, understanding different people and what makes them who they are. And in this case, there are some very unlikable characters in this adaptation, but I can't wait to get back to them and to watch it again from a different lens, and maybe not so quick, maybe not take it in a giant gulp after gulp after gulp, but really just to kind of explore each episode. I don't know. I think it's a fun thing to consider. So I may start that during the Poe Nevermore Readathon as well. So I'm going to read the group reads, The Telltale Heart and the Black Cat. I am going to read the facts in the case of M. Valdemar, as I said, and I do plan to join the sprints when she kicks it off as well as when she wraps it up. So I would love it if you would join us. If you're already not subscribed to Kat's channel, go do it right away because she does some amazing content creation. She does a lot of sprints. When we're in her sprints, they're so much fun. She does Mad Lib. She talks to all of us about her experiences. We share ours. She remembers all of our names. She features people who have booktube channels that are in her space. She's just a generous, kind person to know. And I'm so grateful that I found her. And I'm so grateful that she kind of lives in my neck of the woods, if you will. But I really recommend that you join her and subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. And hopefully, those of you who are, I'll see you in the reading sprints, both one on the kickoff and then I think one on the wrap up, which is the group read wrap up too. So let's all go read some Poe. No matter how old the Poe books are, let's enjoy them. Let's reread them if this is a reread for you as well. And as always, happy reading. Bye.